Okay, back to SEO Conspiracies with Dixon Jones. And,
hey, Laurent, how are you doing?
We're going to talk about keyword density.
Oh, yes. Okay. And can we go for TF-IDF on that basis as well?
Yeah, there's a bunch of course, TF-IDF, important words and rare words, current, mot courant. Forgive my French.
I can't forgive you French. I don't know what it means.
Yeah, there's old school SEO with just keyword everywhere you can. We used to call it keyword stuffing, and there's the new school SEO. But we are, especially you are an OG.
I am old school. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yes. Now I think it's kind of an interesting one because keyword density is dead as a concept. I don't think that's not how Google measures and understands content. But it's not entirely thrown out. What I see is that Google now uses algorithms that understand which concepts are semantically close to each other. So there's a good research paper about kings and queens being semantically close, even though they don't have to talk about a king and a queen. They can, Google can figure it out from the way that the text all works out. And I think that it therefore becomes important for us as SEOs to write content that talks around the topic. So talks about the concepts that are semantically close. And that may or may not use keywords that are that appear to a lay reader as keyword stuffing. So if you don't talk about semantically close topics, then you're not giving the reader or Google's algorithm enough meat to understand the content. But if you start using just the same keyword all the time, then that's crazy. I think that there's probably flags in the system to stop you to pull that up anyway, but it's not going to come across as meaningful content. It's going to come across as you're talking about one topic again and again and again and again.
Exactly. But the relevant question here is, are you relevant just because you repeat a certain number of times a word, or are you relevant because you are able to play what I call the mystery game, the mystery word game, or trying to make you guess a word by expressing everything around the word?
So you like the idea of try and write the content to explain the word without mentioning it. So we have a game we have a program here called Question of Sport, and one of the rounds is there's a word up on the screen, and the sports personality has to act it out and try and explain it without mentioning the word, and you've got to guess the word. You're saying that's a good approach to content, do you think?
Here's a tip. Take an existing piece of content. Take just the beginning. Let's say the first 300 or 500 words. Remove the keyword from that piece of content. Are you still able to guess what is the topic? You just removed just 1, 2, 3 words, and that's it. So you should be able to guess what is the subject of the page without those keywords.
So you could do a find and replace the keyword with guess it here and then put it up and then
exactly. Yeah. Now we got amazing tools to do that, but before those tools, that's the way I did it, to make people understand how to be relevant.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting as well. I mean, on inlinks, for example, it's amazing when you when you sort of start analyzing a site using inlinks. It kind of, the topics that it pulls out are not necessarily the ones that you thought. I mean, I on dixonjones.com, for years I've been writing bad SEO stuff, cobbler's shoes kind of things. And I sort of started to pay attention to it. And I kind of looked at all the topics and things, or analyzed all that. And I found that I was talking about publishing and, publishing was my biggest thing. I'm not a publisher. I don't see myself as a publisher. I see myself as an SEO and software as a service, marketer. So I had completely misunderstood my own content. My content had gone drifting off. And those were in the days when I was thinking about keywords as I was writing, but obviously not very well.
Well, sometimes I think the human brain is smarter than the machine, and sometimes the machine can surprise you. I got a good example with Ray-Ban, the sunglasses.
Yep.
It was a text about maybe the history or the economics of Ray-Ban, and I did my thing, remove, let's say it was history of Ray-Ban. Can you still guess that it's about the history of Ray-Ban? And I said, no, it's we can't guess. But the machine was able to guess the semantic field because of the name of the company that bought out Ray-Ban.
Okay.
But from a human perspective, I didn't know that Ray-Ban was bought out by someone, but the machine was able to put together Ray-Ban with that entity.
So what did you take from that experiment? And that's very interesting, but does that mean that you're suggesting that, because presumably the human should be able to work out what the word is.
Yeah, well, it depends. And what we call name entities, like if you have a page about video games, you should speak about Xbox and PlayStation because those are very important entities. But you should also be careful, and let's go into this TF-EDF, because if you go too far, why I was never able, back in the days, I was trying to rank high automatic translation.
Okay.
But I think automatic translation puts too much rare words, IDF, there's too many relevant words, but that are not usual, that are used and if you have too many of those really rare but relevant words, you got to trigger a filter.
I have to say that this is a problem. If we're going to talk about SEO conspiracy theories, I think this is a conspiracy in a way of the maths. I am really upset that the algorithms require simplicity of language. I like the beauty of language, and I like using a wide vocabulary, and so I use Grammarly all the time. And I'm an avid Scrabble player. I can play Scrabble really pretty well. I can't type. I typos everywhere. But anyway, but when I use Grammarly, it says, you use more vocabulary than 97% of Grammarly users. So I'm writing rich content because I like flowery, language. But of course, that sends messages down Yoast's plugin or the Flesher whatever index and stuff like that to say your stuff is hard to read if you're thick. That's what it's telling me. It's saying make it simple so thick people can read it. I don't like that as a approach for a search engine. True. To sit there and say, right, in order for us to have the machines to, so the machines can understand it, make your words dumber because then the machines can understand it. It's teaching us to be dumber, and it's not doing what the internet was created for, which is to make us feel cleverer. So,
true.
Yeah, I hate that, but you're right. Yeah, making it simpler is going to rank better.
It's called the Gunning Fox Index.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that can decide if your text is targeted towards kids, a 9-year-old kid or a PhD. But yeah. Google is not smart. Google is dumb in the way that we are smart, right? It's a robot. So even if it's very smart from a robot perspective, is still not human. And it can, if I say jaguar, what am I talking about? You know, the animal,
You're only going
the
to know
car.
until you see the words around it, the context.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And the context, without a context, Google can, and voice search, because the way, you know, if I say, hey, hassle, you know,
Yeah.
it could be a friendly thing, you know, if
Yeah. I think as well, there's another bit that SEOs don't pay much attention to is that Google has increasingly understood the underlying motivations of the user. So if you have a look in, here's an interesting thing. If you have a look in your history, in your preferences and things in the Google, you know, what Google knows about you kind of bits of Google in your own settings, it has topics, it has semantic, semantic ideas listed saying this person has an interest in, you know, Jaguar the cars, or Jaguar the cats, or, you know, Jaguar the sports goods. So Google already knows that of the individual. So when that person then says Jaguar, they have the ability to already modify information. So SEOs are might feel a little bit helpless with that, but actually it works really, really well, because, you know, the customers that do come to your site, they may be less, but they're going to be better quality.
The first time we met, it was in Paris. For SEO Campus, and I was the talk right after you. So we met by exchanging plugs and
that's right. And then you went in French though.
Yeah, and my talk was about the person rank, meaning the smell. I think that's how Google was talking about it back then. It was the smell of the user, what or the footprint of the user.
I'm sure that didn't translate to English, but okay.
You know what I mean? Your semantic footprint, or whatever you want to call it, but what you like, because the hyper personalization is wrong. They don't customize anything for you. You are put into a bucket, right? This guy is a SEO. This guy is a gardener. This guy is a gardener who likes mountain biking. He's an SEO who likes Scrabble. You know.
And those, and you can see in the Google preferences exactly what they've picked for you. The annoying thing is for SEOs, when we're working for clients, we start looking at sites that we're not actually personally interested in, and that affects our own footprint. And also, if you start looking at slightly dubious websites, then that's probably going to affect your footprint as well.
Totally. If you're SEO going to look at a gardener's website, well, you're going to leave your smell, your SEO smell on the gardening website, and same for backlinks. I mean,
so what do you do to get around that? I mean, I use Start Page to try and depersonalize searches when I'm trying to investigate things. I don't really want my personalization coming in when I'm analyzing a third-party situation. I use VPNs as well to try and focus things on different countries, from different countries. Are there things that you use to try and avoid to do searches that are not affected by you as a person?
I use quant.com.
Quant, okay.
Quant.com, French search engine that respects your private life. And I think today, every single search engine does the job, you know. And if I don't find it on Quant, well, I look on Google. But for personal use, I don't. Now, if we want to go deep into that, maybe that's another topic for another day. But the whole Google profiling. I remember back in the days when there was the Google toolbar, and on the Mac, I have a little software that spies on outbound traffic. A firewall is going to watch out for incoming traffic.
Oh, yeah.
But whatever goes out. And I remember I was stunned because you turn on the computer, the first thing that calls out no browser is open, the official OS processes are not didn't start. The first thing that starts to communicate was the Google toolbar queries thing. It was starting to communicate, and that was back 15 years ago. And lately, I saw a study. The guy on a mobile device, 90% more of the bandwidth is taken by Google, going back and forth. Because when it's off, it's not off.
Yeah, I know. It's a pretty scary world, really, isn't it? The way that's communication. But I remember using those, tiny firewall. Yeah, I was using those little firewalls that blocked outgoing traffic, and they were very interesting. But I do find that Microsoft is pretty bad at that as well. Word and Microsoft products seem to be very happy to communicate with some cloud that I didn't really want it to. Skype as well at times, and I kind of sit there and think, I didn't give you permission for this. Anyway, we're going off keyword density.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, but it's fine. We can go sideways and go back to end it up on keyword densities. Yeah, think about out around think about topics, think about subjects, think about beyond the keyword, right? That's I think that's the new way to do SEO is not about keywords, more about topics.
And I think that's probably placed. Well, maybe on a next thing we can talk about how long your content has to be to rank. How 2,000 pages, 2,000 words, 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do that on the next one, because I think that kind of plays on to the next one. We'll do that on the next topic then.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.